How do leaders contribute to effective governance? They provide direction for governance through fostering shared understanding and clarity around roles between local and national actors, and promoting collaboration and encouraging commitment at all levels. Effective leadership contributes to effective governance by encouraging interagency cooperation toward social development, internal security, and economic stability. Everything rises and falls with leadership. This is why the Tertiary Education Trust Fund has taken steps to ensure that research and development is deployed for the improvement of the quality of governance in Nigeria. Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, the Executive Secretary of TETFund, is often fondly called the apostle of research and development. He is the man responsible for providing the vision of this paradigm shift.
We should be able to ask our political scientists, those in the arts and humanities, to tell us why are we having challenges of governance, from leadership to the wider context of governance. Why are we having, what are the problems? Somebody should do a PhD research, specifically taking examples, dwell on local government, go to state government, do your homework, cut across this country, come out and let's see the recommendation. Make comparison between the three arms of government. Where do we have problem? Problem of what? For instance, Mr. President has prioritized corruption. What is the incentive for corruption? For instance, it's injustice within organizations or whatever. How do we solve it? We should be able to get recommendations from a PhD research, for instance, or it can be a group research. And this problem are similar across Africa and developing parts of the world. So social development, of course, that is it. We should be able to get recommendations from researchers to address these problems.
The United Nations Development Program defines governance as an exercise in economic, political, and administrative authority to manage a country's affairs at all levels. It comprises the mechanisms, processes, and institutions through which citizens and groups articulate their interests, exercise their legal rights, meet their obligations, and mediate their differences.
Everything rests on leadership. Look at what is happening to the United States today. The United States is number one democratic leader in the world because of the kind of leadership they have over the last 4 years. You can see for yourself what is happening. Leadership requires a lot of skills. It requires a lot of knowledge. It requires a lot of drawing from experiences.
Good governance is, among other things, participatory, transparent, and accountable. It is also effective and equitable. It promotes the rule of law. Good governance ensures that political, social, and economic priorities are based on broad consensus in society, and that voices of the poorest and the most vulnerable are heard in decision-making over the allocation of resources.
The future of Nigeria is here and now. The future of Nigeria is being shaped through the instrumentality of this committee. Therefore, we have to utilize the brains of our people to do research, and then this research must be translated into concrete products. And for that to happen, we need proper governance framework. This is why one of the committees here is focusing on issues of governance, social development, as well as internal security. You do not have security, there will be no conducive environment for anybody to do any research. You have poor governance, whatever you produce will not be properly mainstreamed, and the industry themselves will not have the proper framework to perform. At the end of the day, the whole system will collapse. So governance is critical, and you could see it is also part of what we are doing right now.
Where the challenge may arise.
Professor Atahiru Jega is a Nigerian academic and former Vice Chancellor of the Bayero University, Kano. In June 2010, he was appointed chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission by then-President Goodluck Jonathan and served a term of 5 years. He was at the helm of affairs at INEC when Nigeria witnessed its first peaceful transfer of power from one political party to another as President Muhammadu Buhari was sworn into office in May of 2015. Professor Jega is also a member of TETFund Standing Committee on Research and Development in Governance, Social Development, and Internal Security thematic area. He speaks to the paradigm shift on how this subcommittee's work can improve the nation's electoral processes.
All aspects of governance will need innovation using technology and products of research work. And to that extent, the electoral process, like many institutions of governance, would benefit from the work of this Standing Committee on Research and Development, in the sense that whatever innovative projects that emerge out of this effort would certainly impact and add value on governance. As you are aware, INEC has intensified the use of technology in elections, and not only, and that is a product of research work, but there is need to upscale the use of technology in all aspects of elections, and there is no doubt that developing a capacity for research nationally, particularly through the effort of TETFund to encourage the establishment of a National Research Foundation, can open up avenues through which commendable research work can be done, which can impact all aspects of governance, including elections.
Democracy works better when the voices of the people are heard through the ballot box. TETFund backed research and development into how technology can increase the accuracy and integrity of elections is indeed a worthwhile investment. The permanent voter card, which stores information such as biometric data, physical attributes, thumbprint, etc., proved to be a game changer that has made voter fraud difficult. The PVC protects the information that is electronically programmed and can only be read by the smart card reader. This is an innovation which the former INEC boss would like to see developed even further. If properly implemented and financed, electronic voting offers great promise and potential as the panacea for voter fraud in Nigeria's electoral system. Research could first examine the theoretical, legal, and constitutional basis for e-voting. It can then draw lessons from other jurisdictions, analyzing practical challenges for the implementation and adoption of an e-voting system in Nigeria. These challenges include the possible compromise of e-voting devices by viruses and other malicious software, manipulation by people with privileged access to the system, either system developers, system administrators, or malicious hackers. Denial of service attacks, attacks that result in e-voting facilities being disabled or otherwise unavailable for voter use. Lack of adequate supervision mechanisms, and the difficulties of proving electronic attacks in courts of law, among other things. Collation and transmission of result real-time is another key area where innovation is required.
For a long time, elections in Nigeria have been basically on the analog mode. The role of university academics has primarily been in terms of bringing in integrity to the collation of results. The collation of results is manual. In our history in Nigeria, election result tabulation was for a long time bedeviled by inaccuracies as a result of errors or through fraudulent activities. So INEC tried from 2011 to bring university professors to participate in the collation of results by manual means, which you needed people of integrity to be able to do. But moving forward, obviously, we need to increasingly use technology, not only in verification and authentication of voters, which was what INEC has done since 2015, using the smart card reader, smart card voters card itself. But increasingly, INEC needs to introduce the use of technology in compilation of results and in the transmission of results to a national center where it can then be broadcast. Again, increasingly, even trying to do that right now, INEC is relying on foreign expertise, foreign technology to be able to do that. So the kind of work that is being done now would be able to help us have Nigerian researchers be able to develop technologies that are robust and have integrity and that can be deployed in the work of INEC moving forward.
Social development is a human process in the sense that human beings, not material factors, drive development. The energy and aspirations of people who seek development form the motive force that drives development. People's awareness may decide the direction of development. Their efficiency, productivity, creativity, and organizational capabilities determine the level of people's accomplishment and enjoyment. Development is the outer realization of latent inner potentials. The level of people's education, intensity of their aspiration, and energies, quality of their attitudes and values, skills and information all affect the extent and pace of development. But it all begins with quality education that is relevant and beneficial to the country's needs. Even the emergence of great leadership is birthed in the cradle of sound education. Professor Biodu Ogunyemi is the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. He is also a member of TETFund's RDSC, coordinating the education group. With the triple helix model, which brings the academia, government, and industry together, TETFund is not waiting until there is a bone of contention before partnering with Nigeria's public tertiary institutions on ways to improve outputs.
What we are doing now is like a follow-up to a meeting we had last year in Lagos, facilitated by NUC, where we could say we did some background work on the academia-industry collaboration. So we have always talked of collaboration among the three agencies, as it were, the academia, the industry, and of course, government. Government is supposed to provide the platform for bringing industry and academia together. And what we are doing here for us is a practical demonstration of that process. And we are now trying to concretize what we have always talked about for a long time. In other developed economies, talk of the Korea, even Brazil that is coming up. I'm talking of third world now, not even the first world. You see that it is this kind of collaboration among government, industry, and academia that actually paved way for the transformation we are seeing in them. Now they can feed themselves, they can begin to manufacture. So research from the universities for a long time have always ended up either in publication outlets or on bookshelves. So we're now saying that all these recommendations that we have had over time, in terms of what should be the follow-up activities, we need to activate them as a starting point, and then we need to introduce new ones given the right environment. So the environment for collaboration has been missing for a long time, and what we are doing here now is to infuse or inject that kind of environment.
The debate around how to improve the education system in Nigeria is a fraught, complicated one with incredibly high stakes. But that shouldn't discourage policymakers from engaging in it. In the spirit of finding reasonable places to begin, here are some of the first steps that law and policymakers, as well as other officials, should take in what's sure to be a multi-layer, multi-step process to improve outcomes for students. Construct more primary and secondary schools. renovate and upgrade facilities in all existing primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, address overcrowding, increase the number of teachers, raise standards for teachers, put classroom running and curriculum building decisions in the hands of the community. But the most important step is to make funding schools a priority.
We have always talked of a certain percentage of the annual budget that should go into education. And each time we talk of education, particularly at the tertiary level, we mean the research component should be the driver. We need infrastructure for research, support for processes, and we need human capital development in the area of research. So to build the capacity, we need fund. To get the infrastructure, we need fund. And of course, to engineer the process or drive the process, we also need fund. In all our negotiation with government as ASU, we have always placed these at the front burners. We have been talking of minimum of 20% of the annual budget being set aside for education. Maybe 1 to 2% of the annual budget will always go into R&D foundation, and other sources of funding will be mobilized along the line.
It's about making sure that the facilities for research are available within the country. Also making sure that the resources that are required, because one of the other things is that just like TETFund is being funded by 2% taxation, they have to source their own resources. So they can source resources from government, they can source resources from industries and all those ones. So that is also one of their roles. They are also looking at the issues of social development. How can the research, the industrialization and commercialization, how can it have an impact on the well-being of the people?
Universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education have for years seemed to exist in a parallel universe to industries in Nigeria. While Nigerian corporations relied heavily on research carried out in foreign countries that may or may not translate well into local realities, tertiary institutions focused on research for publication or promotion rather than problem solving. The RDSC is working to change this.
The agencies that benefit from research and individual collaborators and corporate organizations will be brought on board. So we believe that at the end of the day, we enhance what we are doing in tertiary institutions, particularly in the universities. Universities are actually the crowning glory for educational system anywhere in the world. Universities are supposed to be seen as the incubators for research and development. And that is why we have always emphasized the research component of our activities in the universities. And we have always said that that aspect must not be neglected or underplayed. So each time you see us engaging government, we're always putting research at the front burners. Research will inform better teaching, research will inform better community service, and research will build the path to a knowledge economy, which is a 21st century goal in any part of the world.
It's like starting from the basic. What are those things that need to be put in place? What are those things that will fast track the vision that we have, the vision of the linkage between higher institutions and industries, the vision of linking researches to commercialization to development. So it's like this standing committee is just that committee to bring this thing to birth, let's say, to birth the whole framework that we move from that basic to where we want to be. Where we are now are just the knowledge impact. Where we want to be is the societal impact. And this is a liaison between the two.
How then does Nigeria move its tertiary education from basic research to applied research that will benefit various sectors of the economy?
We've done basic research for too long, but problems are emerging that require intervention from the universities. What we see now, like we have seen in other places, like in South Africa, any research you are proposing for PhD, the relevant ministry or agency will be part of the process. And so from the onset, you are developing a research problem that is focused on a particular sector of the national life. And that relevant sector will also make support. They will give you support. They will make input into the process. This study you want to conduct, that is why we say applied research is a research targeted at solving a problem. So it's not research for its own sake. It's not a research for publication. It's not a research probably for theorization. We've had enough of that, but now we are moving into a phase where our problems cannot just be ignored. We don't stop at the level of theorization. We go into the level of application. And to achieve that, we must work with other stakeholders. And that is the best way to approach and achieve that objective.
One of the things we do at the university is teaching and research. But unfortunately, these researches have not translated into development. So we carry out researches because we want to get promoted, because our promotion is based on writing papers and all those things. So we have not moved from the basic research that we do to the cut-edge research that we need to do. There hasn't been any linkage between the academia, or no significant linkage between the academia and research for development, ones that can be industrialized and all those things. So the standing committee is actually a committee that has been put in place by TETFund to create that linkage, to put up a framework, a framework that we move, that we support research, that we have significant impact. Because what we are doing right now at the universities is a knowledge impact. And knowledge impact is an impact that research contributes within the academia. So it reverberates around the academia. So we are trying, this committee is trying to put up a framework that will move research from the tertiary institutions into a research or societal impact, which means excellent research that will contribute to an impact on the society, development impact in the society. So it's like a liaison between the institution, the research that is carried out at the research institutes, and linking it to the industries and companies out there.
The key thing is collaboration. I was once at the University of Jyväskylä in Finland, and we found that some industries consciously established laboratories on campuses. So this here we talk of CWES, students going out, but in those places you find that common assignments, they are there. They are there at the industrial site. So they are working with people in the industry to address even daily assignments, as simple as that. You want to develop a model of a phone, for instance. So you still get to the industry and you master the process as they are going on, and you can come back and design some rudimentary models. So in which case, the process builds on. So what we have been saying all along is that our industries should demonstrate their interest in what we are doing. They should, apart from supporting projects, they should also establish laboratories on our campuses. So if they fund laboratories, for instance, they will be interested in what we are doing. Our products will also be useful to them, and it will be a win-win solution. So it will not be just a matter of putting money. Where you put money, you also put you register your presence. So they monitor how funds are applied, and we also give them the best for their investment.
The value of education in any society should not be understated. Education is a human right, and no one should be deprived of it. However, education is far more than that. It is something that really benefits the people and grows the nation. Education helps to end poverty, end hunger, promote good health, inclusion, and gender equality. It also helps economic growth, reduces inequalities, and makes communities more sustainable and resilient. Governance, social development, and internal security are the primary custodians of education. Governance must be carried out in a manner essentially free of abuse and corruption, and with due regard to the rule of law. It is generally perceived that good governance is the supreme task of the government alone. But the reality is that good governance is a joint responsibility of various actors, like the government, business and civil society, the public, of course, all with their respective roles. The ideal governance is characterized by participation, consensus, accountability, transparency, responsiveness, effectiveness, equitability, and the rule of law. TETFund is determined to do all it can for Nigeria to realize these ideals for good governance through research and development. And that is the paradigm shift.